Alright, how y'all doing? Welcome to episode 261, I believe, of the Rand Nerds podcast. You believe? Why just you believe? Well, it's because there's no RAM. How am I supposed to handle this by myself? Remembering numbers and topics? Chaos. RAM's not feeling all that well. So, I'm in charge today, which means that there is nothing fancy going on. I'm going to try and keep this short, and I'm going to try and keep it positive. Positive, you, really, the guy that's constantly talking about the gaming industry crumbling, being full of bloats and just tat. Yeah, man, because I've found something that actually makes me happy to be a gamer. It's not something that I've found, actually. Something I've been kind of diving into. You know when you've got a game that people absolutely love when years after the main company, developer, publisher, whatever, when they stop supporting it, the fans pick it up for nothing more than they just love the game. Hackers, modders, people who patch up games that were completely balked, put back in functionality that maybe dropped off, servers and the like, add in completely new or removed functions from a thing, like, I don't know, a graphics update, an audio update, soundtrack replacement, that kind of thing, all done by the fans. And I want to talk about two little mods. Okay, one is Final Fantasy VII, classic Final Fantasy VII. Did you know Final Fantasy VII has now got achievements on PC? That one blew my mind. That was a completely foreign one to me. Current release, Final Fantasy VII on PC. You have to have an account, kind of, and you get achievements for playing through the game. The game that came out in 1997 still gets support to a point from Square Enix. I was going to say Squaresoft, but that hasn't been a thing for a long time. Okay? I've never really played that game modded before, Final Fantasy VII on PC. I owned the big box version. I owned the PlayStation version and the big box PC version years and years and years and years and years ago, before most of you were even born. And maybe some like light mods, you know, you'd download some music, replace some of the tracks that were installed to do whatever. I know, sacrilege. Maybe you'd replace some character, like artwork, the menu sprites and things. Well, recently I got shown there is a project that is so big, in my opinion, a group of fans have put AAA gaming to shame. Many times when I'm playing through games, streaming through games, I will hear someone go, or read someone type, I wish this game had more voice acting in it. Because there'll be like a nice voice cast, a good voice cast, and there'll be like, I don't know, maybe a couple of lines of dialogue. Some main story beats will have a voiced cutscene. And then the rest of it just like, it's nothing. It's just a big fat donut, right? Well, I installed Final Fantasy VII again on my Steam Deck. I don't usually install mods and stuff on Steam Deck because they're usually Windows-based, it's executable-based, especially if you've got a mod manager. But again, the fans, we've gone through part of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and after 11 hours of Rebirth, I'm pretty sure this is only like the first 6 to 10 hours, like remake and the first 11 hours of Rebirth. I'm sure that's only like the first 11 hours of the actual game. Where did all this extra content come from, right? I see this thing. There's a thing called 7th Deck. 7th Deck is I'm all over the place. Again, no RAM to keep me on track. 7th Deck is a script that will install the mod manager 7th Heaven on your Steam Deck. If you don't have a Steam Deck or Linux, then just install Seventh Heaven. Seventh Heaven is a mod manager, and what that allows you to do is basically just go down a list of mods that you want to install. It'll just give you a list. Here's the list of stuff. What do you want to install it? Double click it, install it. If you just run the game through Steam, it's non-destructive, so you just click it and the game launches up like it normally would. If you launch through the mod manager, you have the options of, do you want to run it with mods? Do you want to run it without mods? And that's amazing because back in my days, if you wanted to mod something, it was destructive. You put a file in place of an original game file. If you didn't back up the original game file, well, get ready to reinstall or find the original file somewhere, right? Seventh Heaven, mod manager, amazing. And you go on kind of down the list. Echo S7. What's this? This is quite a big mod. Oh, it's a full voice patch for Final Fantasy VII on PC. Every single character, every piece of dialogue you see on screen has a voiceover. And not just like, it's 3 people doing all the voices. No, they've got fans from all over have come in to record this dialogue. They've retimed the game to play along with this voice acting. Like, it will just auto go through the text. You don't have to press the button to skip. You can, like normally you'd read it. Okay. Press the next button. Wait for the next bit of text to come up on screen. Very good. Next button. Wait for it to come up on screen. That kind of thing. In this, no. Text comes up on screen. The character says the thing. And then once they finish saying the thing, bam, the next bit's there. And then they finish saying that bit. And then bam, the next bit's there. And you can just hear it. It's just coming through. And it's amazing. You go and walk up to a random NPC that you've never bothered to speak to before. There's dialogue there. Someone has voiced that character. And it's amazing. It has made me want to speak to all of the NPCs for no reason other than to hear what they sound like, to hear the delivery. Don't get me wrong, some of it's a bit scriffy. You know, some people are using like headset microphones, some people are using big boy microphones. You can tell the guys, but the fact that a group of people have done this for no reason other than they wanted to try, that they love the game, absolutely amazing. And then add that on top. Final Fantasy VII, the community of that game, phenomenal. People who have reworked all of the cutscenes from like around 15 FPS, which I believe they were in the original, to 30 FPS. Doesn't sound like much, but in the realms of animation, that's a lot. They've rotoscoped the models out of parts of these cutscenes to add in new models. People have made new models, new character sprites. They've up-resed the world map. They've added in all new textures and things to make the game look kind of like a modern indie title, if I had to be honest with you. And that might sound quite damning, maybe, but it looks beautiful. A game from 1997 looks like it could have been released right now by a team of passionate devs on like the Steam kind of indie section. It is amazing. I've added in a few things. I just double click the thing. It installs the mod. It's there. I've got full voice acting. I've got upscaled textures. Upscaled movies. And as well, this isn't just like some AI upscaled tat. Some people have actually gone in and hand reworked some of this stuff. It's phenomenal. So, if you are a fan of Final Fantasy VII and you want to give the original a go, and you've always gone, I don't really know, what do I play it on the PlayStation? Do I play it on the PC? What do I do? If you have access to a PC, you have access to a Steam Deck, please grab it on PC. And you will get access to stuff like Echo S7 and all of these other wonderful mods that have been kind of nicely organised by the Seventh Heaven guys. Just, it really, 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 really makes a difference. The game is amazing to start with, but with this extra stuff, this extra polish, I mean, they've even been able to add in removed content from the game from early builds. It's like the definitive Final Fantasy VII. All of the stuff that you could imagine they wanted to do that they couldn't because of limitations due to the hardware at the time. It's all there. It looks great. It plays great. Sounds great. Although I will say, I don't know if the guys can do this. Even the tutorials seem to have voiceover. You know, so the magic system tutorial will have a voiceover. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm getting old. But the game audio kind of drowned out the voice on sections like that. But otherwise, great. I don't know if maybe they can tweak that a little bit. Maybe a bit of a level adjustment. I haven't looked in the game files, to be honest. I haven't looked to see if maybe it's just a Steam, Linux, Proton problem. But other than that one little thing, beautiful. Chef's kiss. Amazing stuff. Really is. Because if you're going to play Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, a lot of people would suggest that you play Original 7 to go along with it, to realise why a lot of the story beats in Remake and Rebirth hit the way they do. Now, you've got no excuse, because 7 looks great. It's amazing. It plays... the big one, 60 FPS patch. Not just the voice work, there's a 60 FPS patch, which is really, really, really weird, considering the battle scenes, I swear, were something like 15... 20 FPS to have that stuff running at 60 FPS with high resolution textures and all that is just, for a newbie coming into it, it's not that big of a deal. For an old timer like myself, it is mind blowing. In fact, just do the intro. Just watch the intro of Final Fantasy VII. Just go do it, and then do the first fight after the train. You get off. All you guys get off the train. Do that first fight. Do it without any mods. Just do it. Right? Then, install 7th Heaven, install OS and all of the little texture packs and up-res and stuff, and the 60 FPS patch. Do it without the 60 FPS patch and then put in the 60 FPS patch. Oh my gods. It's like a different game. It really is like a different game, and it keeps getting better, all because of the community behind it, because of the fans of that game. You know you've got an absolute belter of a game when random geezers who loved playing it when they were kids, like random guys, random gals, when they get into it and they're like, oh man, I remember playing this when I was a kid. I could do this. And then they do it. They keep the game alive. They keep improving it. They keep adding things to it. It's amazing. Or they end up going into the industry because of your game. Or because they've learned how to mod your game, they go into the industry. This is how I got into it. Absolutely phenomenal. Makes me proud to say that I play video games. Another one. A lot of games have multiplayer. Even way back in the day, we had online multiplayer. Online multiplayer, really? Yeah! All the way back, like, Sega Saturn had online multiplayer. Dreamcast was your big one because it came with multiplayer stuff built in. You had your modem and all that. A modem, not just a Wi-Fi doobry that you just press the button. I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi. No, you had to connect the wire to your console. Oh man, the times, and you had to dial in, and you had to pay per minute. It was insanity, right? But you could play with people. You could play online. Stuff like Phantasy Star. You could play online. Daytona, USA. You could play online against other people. It's a driving game. You know, Daytona, driving. Really good. But one that I really adore is Monster Hunter. Now, over time, these games, like, their servers got shut down. Right? You know, if a company's like, oh yeah, you know, we've had this game going for ages. Sega did that with Phantasy Star. They did that with all the the like Daytona and Virtual and all the multiplayer stuff, all the online multiplayer stuff just went away. Cost money to keep servers up, right? The gaming community has gone about putting all of this stuff back together with private servers and ad hoc patches, ways that you can do it through emulation and stuff. So all of the games I've mentioned, you can still play online because of fans. But Monster Hunter, you can play solo or in multiplayer. A lot of people would say it's always been a multiplayer experience. That wasn't the case for me. I was Billy No Mates. I was solo hunter extraordinaire. All the way back on the PlayStation 2, Monster Hunter 1 had, and this is 2004, 2005. 2004 in Japan, 2005 in the PAL region, which I'm in. You could connect your PlayStation 2 to the internet and play with other people, hunt monsters with other people. Except, PlayStation 2, you had to buy a bunch of accessories to get it online. Network adapter, hard drive, all that kind of stuff. And that was expensive back in the day. Well, expensive back in the day. If you're a young peasant like myself, you didn't go out buying, £100 network adapters for your PlayStation kind of thing. I could be wrong. It was probably might have been a bit less than that. But it felt really expensive to play a handful of games online, right? And if you didn't have access to a router, so let's say you were just at home, once upon a time, your modem for your internet connection was just, you USB'd it into your computer. Or unless you had like a PCIe deal, like an internal card, you just plugged the phone cable into your computer. Around like the Xbox and PlayStation 2 era, we were using network cables. Network cables, man, they're everywhere. They weren't back then. You weren't expected to have this stuff at home. You weren't expected to have a router. And all this stuff. I actually remember my first router, the magic smoke came out of it. Once the magic smoke comes out, you never get it back in, so it'll never work again. But I never got to play Monster Hunter 1, the original Monster Hunter, on PS2 with friends. It was just Billy No Mates, me. Then they made Monster Hunter Portable, or Monster Hunter Freedom. And these were ports of like Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter 2 on PSP. Those had a bit more love because you had something called the ad hoc party, where basically you had an ad hoc network. If you had your PlayStation Portable and your mate had his PlayStation Portable, you could sit in the same room, set up a network game, and the two devices would communicate with one another, and you could play multiplayer that way. Well, as time went on, Sony gave people the option, if you owned a PlayStation 3, to connect your PSP to the PlayStation 3 and connect an ad hoc network. You could ad hoc to the console, and then it would connect to the internet, and you could play online with other hunters. Never did that. A couple of my mates had Monster Hunter on PlayStation Portable, but again, I was practically Billy No Mate's solo hunter in it. Years later, I have used things like My Neighbor Sushi Cat, which is kind of an emulated ad hoc party style thing where you can play the classic Monster Hunter games through an emulator over the internet. And that has been absolutely phenomenal. Okay? The idea that fans are bringing back server and net functionality to these old games. My first Monster Hunter online, properly online, and I did play Monster Hunter 1 online, kind of. I went into the online area. PS2 came out, PS2 Slim came out, and I had a network adapter built in. And one time I went online and it was dead. there was no one there. There's no one there. But my first Monster Hunter properly online, properly with friends, was Monster Hunter Tri on Wii, which then became Monster Hunter 3U on the Wii U, or Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and that also had a 3DS release. And those had net play, and I finally got to play those games with friends, and they were amazing. Monster Hunter Tri became my favourite. Well, recently, it's pointed out to me that Monster Hunter 1 on PlayStation 2 has had a server built, a new private server set up. And the fans haven't just reverse engineered the server protocol and rebuilt the server that way. No. they've patched the Japanese version of the game. This is all built on the Japanese version of the game. They have English patched the Japanese game. They have made it so that with just a simple, you go into the DNS settings on your emulator, if you're on an emulator, or you go onto the DNS settings of your actual system. You just put in this DNS address. You set up your netplay like you normally would. They allow you to create an account on their server through the game client. And you're in. You're back online with the PlayStation 2. There are people with physical hardware and emulator devices playing on the same servers, hunting monsters together like they haven't been able to do since 2011. The server shut down in 2011. The game was done, unless you wanted to play Billy No Mates like me. But because of the fans, now you can play online. And it's amazing. I got my old mate Divine, who I played Monster Hunter Tri with back in the day in 3U. I said, dude, you've never played Monster Hunter on the PS2, have you? He's like, no, I only really ever played the PSP games. Didn't even know it was on the PlayStation 2. So that's great, because combat was different on the PS2. On the PSP, you pressed a button to attack. On the PS2, you waggled the stick. You waggled the right stick, because using right stick for like camera movement was still a very foreign concept. So I send him the stuff. I patch up a copy of Monster Hunter. We rip it, we patch it, and I send it to him. Okay, here's how you set it up. Here's how you set up an emulator. Here's how you connect to the servers. Let's go. I have never played Monster Hunter 1 on PS2 with friends. Let's go. And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wouldn't be possible without the fans. Again, you know your game is good. You know your game hits hard when your game is dead, and then the fans go, nah, mate. And then like Gil from Street Fighter 3 Resurrection, the game's back. By the way, I have nightmares of Gil's Resurrection from Street Fighter Third Strike. But when your game's good, it'll come back. It will never stay dead. It can't. Because the fans won't let it. And if they can, they'll improve on it. And so the Monster Hunter Old School team, who have translated, is it Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter G, and Monster Hunter 2. Full English, multiple revisions of these patches, and set up a server. Phenomenal. I think they may even have stuff for Tri. So 3. I think they may have stuff for the DS versions too. I don't know. I haven't looked overly into it. It's only the last couple of days that I found that Monster Hunter 1 was online again. Look, as a bitter old gamer, and I am old, and I can be quite bitter, I can be quite negative about gaming these days, right? To the teams that have translated previously unreleased games, translated previously released games, reworking the scripts and things. There are people who have added in soundtracks and patched bugs and rebuilt servers, like bringing back Phantasy Star Online and things like that. Doing the EchoS 7 mod for Final Fantasy 7, for all of the texture packs and all that, restoring functionality. Thank you. Thank you for keeping these old games and these old platforms going. Thank you for supporting original hardware where you do. Thank you for making it simple for dimwits like me to keep these things going. Because it's way above my pay grade, and it's absolutely phenomenal that it gets done, that these games are still, to this day, getting new life. Just kind of, it's just being, people just breathing it into them, man. You know, 1997, 2004, and we are still playing them in 2025, and they still play and look great. The community behind them is still strong, and it is absolutely fucking phenomenal. I love it. If anyone says to you, why bother buying new games? I don't know, because there's so many games out there that still run just great. All the people who patch games for modern hardware. Amazing. Just as a note, like Max Payne 1. It's an absolute hog to get running on modern hardware. The fans have patched it. People who used to patch stuff like Soul Reaver and that. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. When the companies won't, the fans will. And I love it. I'm just rambling, to be honest with you. It's been just a half an hour ramble of just complete fluff, just to say thank you to all the people who do that, who do all of that kind of stuff. It warms my old black heart. That lump of coal that is in my chest. All of a sudden there's like an occasional kind of thump beat. I'm like, wow, I am still alive. I do still feel. And it's often because of stuff like this. Playing games with my friends that I didn't think would ever be possible. Showing games to my kids that I didn't think would ever be possible. If you guys are taking requests, though, one of my favourite games on Xbox 360, Chrome Hounds. If anyone can work on a server for that, or a modern rework of that, please do. It's a mech game. Absolutely phenomenal back in the day. You picked a country, you fought for that country, and at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the season, whatever, they'd tally up the victories, and whoever would they'd win. You'd unlock stuff by whoever got the most victories. If your country won the most, you could fight a boss from another country. It was just absolutely phenomenal, like a massive robot. It's the same kind of thing actually that I think Helldivers is doing. Helldivers 2. You go over and you have to complete objectives, and depending on what objectives you do, it scales certain things. It's just, I will say I haven't played Helldivers 2, so I can't comment. But yeah, can we work on a server for Crime Hounds, please? I've just got a message from Divine. 10 out of 10 would hunt again. When the fans love it. When the fans love it, your game will get support. If you've made a true gem, it will be enough to get people into coding, game development, rework, and all that kind of stuff. Even if like they're into art and only into art and stuff, sarcastic air quotes. These things can change people's lives, and they like to keep them up and alive to continue to bring joy to other people like it did them, and that is just so good. Anyway, because I don't really have anything else to say, if I was just going to talk about all the fan projects that I've fallen in love with over the years, Affinia server for Phantasy Star, the Monster Hunter Old School guys, the Echo S7 stuff, and so much more. I could be here for days, weeks, months, years, chatting shite. But hopefully that gives you a taste. Go and try those games, by the way. They're great. Monster Hunter 1, PS2. Or play portable if you want on PSP. I mean, alright, you're not going to be using the same server. You can just use the ad hoc party stuff, but give it a go. Go say hi to folks. Go and engage with the community. If you want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, go and try the original Final Fantasy VII. You can get it cheap enough on PC, on Steam. And you can download the 7th Heaven mod manager and can just completely rework the game. Try both. Just play it through and then go, wonder what this would be like if it was voice acted. Completely different game. Completely different game. Just thanks to all the fans. Thank you for keeping all the games alive. I would say, I would do the normal outro, but I can't remember it. Tune in 2 weeks' time for episode 262. 2 weeks from whatever it is now. I ain't going to look. Sorry, Ram. That's what you get for not being here. But if you want to check out more stuff, go to youtube.com, search up Rand Nerds. If you want to check out live streams for games nights. We do games nights every couple of weeks, just before the podcast, day before the podcast. We'll do a games night, random game. We're playing Heroes of Hammerfall right now. Fantastic pixel game. Go and check that out on twitch.tv/randnerds. Yeah. That's it from me, Skazz. Happier today. Game doesn't suck today. Modern games still suck. The old stuff is amazing, which is funny because I've just played Monster Hunter Wilds and I just want to play Monster Hunter 1 again. Hopefully RAM gets better. Back to regular program, then you can get an actual outro and an actual intro and actual magic. Get well soon, Ram, and we'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. Take it easy, guys.